Hey, thanks for joining me. We're going to take a couple of minutes just to give you a little bit more information on Beowulf. I like Beowulf. I think Beowulf is important, and it dismays me a bit that, you only get the first battle in your text. So I can't help myself. I just want to provide you with some closure as to what happens in the rest of the epic poem. Every culture has epic poetry. It's something that unites us as a people. You've probably been exposed or at least heard of the Odyssey, right? Representing ancient Greece. Beowulf is English epic poetry. And in your unit, you have the opportunity to see and to hear the Old English, and you're probably feeling very unconvinced that this is actually English. And it is, but English at its roots is closely related to German. It is a Germanic language. If you've taken Spanish or French, you know that those are Latin based. Well, English is a Germanic language. If you actually clicked play and listened to the Old English, you might have actually heard some familiar words. When you look at it on the screen, it just looks like gibberish. But if you listen, no, there's definitely some words you'll recognize. A lot of our monosyllabic, our single syllable words, are the same from Old English. They look different when you look at them on the screen, but if you listen, they're still the same. And some of our curse words, too, come from Old English. So, we can thank the Anglo-Saxons for some of our curse words. So there you go. See, this was worth your time already. Okay, so, through invasion, that's one way that languages change and cultures mix, and that's why we no longer speak something that sounds like German. So just do me a favor, and when we get to Macbeth, please don't call it Old English, because now you know what Old English sounds like. And Shakespeare's not Old English, is it? No. So you have experienced the battle with Grendel, and just to sort of give you an idea of where the poem goes from there, because it's interesting, and I think it's interesting because one thing we learn from epic poetry is we learn what's important to a culture. Epic poetry represents the values of a culture. Through the boasts, through the giving of gifts, through the attributes of the hero Beowulf, we see what we value in a hero, and we see that what is valued in this hero Beowulf is different than what we see in our heroes today. If I sit down and watch a James Bond movie, preferably with Daniel Craig in it, doesn't look like Beowulf at all. So once Grendel is dead and everyone's like, woohoo, Grendel's dead, Beowulf's awesome, they let down their guard. There's a lot of giving of gifts from Hrothgar to Beowulf, not only to show appreciation, but to show your wealth. Being able to show generosity, being able to show hospitality reflects well on the gift giver. Okay? But what they don't know is that Grendel's mother, boom, 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 is very angry that her little boy has been killed. Don't mess with a monster's mother, okay? Yeah. Now, she is not given her own name. She's just Grendel's mother. And, while everyone's feeling pretty good about what they've accomplished, Grendel's mother comes into the mead hall, wreaks havoc, kills one of Hrothgar's best men, and returns to her underwater lair. Now we gotta go for round 2, don't we? Don't worry, Beowulf's up to the challenge. This time he brings with him a sword that Hrothgar has given him, and he decapitates Grendel's mother. Of course he does. He's a larger-than-life hero, okay? There is very little about Beowulf that we find to be human. From, ripping off Grendel's arm with his bare hands, to battling Grendel's mother underwater for what seems to be longer than any human being can hold their breath. Beowulf doesn't seem to be human. Humanity in literature really starts to come around. Well, some credit Shakespeare with really making characters human, and that's one reason why we celebrate Shakespeare. He may create really the human being in literature. So now Grendel's mother's dead. Beowulf brings back the head. We're really into the body parts. Here's an arm. Here's a head. There's more giving of gifts, tremendous appreciation for Beowulf. And now the Danes can have peace. So Beowulf goes home, and ultimately he becomes the king of the Geats. Who could be better? And for 60 years, there's peace. So again, when we talk about Beowulf being maybe not quite human, larger than life, let's do the math here. 60 years later is his next battle. How old was he when he fought Grendel and Grendel's mother? 2? All right. So anyway, 60 years later, again, he's this larger than life hero. He's not supposed to be a human, so you just kind of have to let this stuff go. A slave who is running away to escape enslavement steals a goblet from a treasure trove guarded by a dragon. Dragons do not like to have their treasures disturbed. We know this, right? And now the dragon is very, very angry. Do not want to make dragons angry. So, the dragon's flying around torching farmers' fields, doing the mischief that dragons do. And Beowulf must once again go in and do battle. This time, however, Beowulf knows that he's not a young man. Yeah, we did the math. We know he's not a young man either. He knows that this battle will likely be his last one. And like any good warrior, he'd rather go down fighting, right, than die of old age. So he's prepared to die fighting. He does bring weaponry. He says, I'd like to fight this dragon with my bare hands. I know you would, Beowulf. But you can't fight a dragon with your bare hands, right? This isn't Grendel. This is a fire-breathing dragon. So he does bring his weapons. He does succeed in killing the dragon. Of course he does. He's Beowulf. But he does die in the process. So Beowulf has successfully secured peace for the people, and in his lifetime he has defeated 3 important foes: Grendel, Grendel's mother, and the dragon. The number 3 is very important throughout Christianity, right? We have the Holy Trinity. And so the number 3 comes up repeatedly in literature, so it's not a coincidence. Beowulf is given a burial that is befitting his rank. His body is placed on like a little barge and burned, which is what is how a soldier is honored. And then is placed in a barrow, which is sort of like a large mound, along with a lot of riches, and that's sort of his memorial. Burying riches, that's terrible! Who wants to bury riches? It's just like the pharaohs in ancient Egypt, right? It's a way of showing, wealth and respect, that you're buried with tremendous riches. So again, it's a different culture, right? You go back that far historically. This is not our culture, but it does inform us a great deal of the values of the Anglo-Saxons. And that's why this poem is so important and why we still read it today. It is the oldest surviving work of English literature. So I hope you enjoyed our 10-minute peek into Beowulf. Thank you for taking the time to look at it. Love to hear your questions. Love to hear your thoughts. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye, darlings.